Hi, what's going on, guys? We're live again with another video. Today is not the typical football video. It's very different, and something we all wanted to do. And those of us on the panel and in the chat are going to be joining later throughout the stream. It's in memory of a good friend, Stephen Featley. He passed away at 29 years old due to a rare liver disease condition that he suffered with since he was a child. But he never gave up and always put up a fight to pursue what he wanted to in life, regardless of what he was going through. And I think throughout all of us on the panel and those of you in the chat or joining later on that knew Stephen, he always gave motivation and encouragement on not to give up in life throughout, whatever you're going through, whatever hardships you're going through. So the stream today, it's more a celebration of life of the 1 year anniversary that he passed away. Stephen passed away on the 27th of February last year. And sadly, it's been a year since we lost him, but we know that his legacy and what he left, the imprints in the world, lives on through us. I think oftentimes we seem to bring him up. We speak about him. Oh, how would he think about the Arsenal now? We think about what he would say now, because obviously he wasn't here to see a lot of things, and we're very happy with the positive impact he had in our lives. So today's stream, you'll see some people joining who are friends of Stephen. Those of you in the chat, I did link the charity. So Stephen's channel is called S Featley TV. He dedicated a lot of the proceeds of his channel that was monetized to Children's with Liver Disease Foundation. And the second thing is his whole channel was to raise awareness of children like him who were suffering with a rare liver disease condition, who needed to wait for treatments, wait for donations, for help to get treatment or to get even blood infusions. We know Stephen, every Thursday, he would stream even from the hospital. That's how crazy.
Yeah.
He really loved the YouTube. And so, Matt, welcome to the panel, Eugene and King. First of all, everyone who's given up their time to join today, I really appreciate it. I know Stephen would have been really happy to see this, and I still believe that he's listening to us and what we feel like in the higher spirits above. So I'm really glad about that, and in a way, I think his friendship is something we always cherish and will cherish in our lives. But guys, before we share about our experiences with Stephen, I think we all met Stephen through the same way, through his channel. And it was throughout the pandemic, throughout the horrors of the pandemic. We all suffered through the COVID pandemic and lockdowns, not really knowing what to do. And as you can see on the panel, we support different teams. Eugene's a Tottenham fan, and Matt is my United fan. I would have never thought I'd have a Tottenham fan on my channel, first of all. And secondly, Stephen brought people from different ways of life, different countries across the world. I'm from Canada, Eugene's from Malaysia, Matt's from UK, brought together through our love for football. But also he paid his respects to everyone, equally giving them an opportunity on his platform. And I think that's something none of us took for granted. We really appreciated what he had to provide. I know me and Stephen all of the time, we didn't agree on Arsenal, and Luca can attest for this, because there's many debates of him and Luca arguing about the club, about the manager. But I think at the end of the day, we all had genuine and common respect for each other. So I think first we should start by saying how we know Stephen and what can we take away as our best memories with him, if you can pinpoint one or two events. Eugene, if you would like to start.
Okay, I'll go ahead first, right? I met Steven through another Spurs fan, who does YouTube, right? Tommy, if I'm not mistaken. I think he introduced me to Luca and Steven more or less at the same time. That's how I met him. Because we're doing, the North London derby, right? All the Spurs fans and Arsenal fans get together and banter each other. So that's how I started meeting him. And Steven wasn't just a fan of football, he was a fan of Formula One. So I was a fan of Formula One too. And I've done Formula One watch-alongs with him where he will go crazy, you know, jumping up and down, right? Uh, he was a very genuine person. You know what I'm saying? He knew his predicament from day one, and because I'm much older, right? So we have a lot of mature chat after shows and all that, and then it goes on with Steven. You know, sometimes we can see all his things. Like Miss Mel said, he will stream from the hospital, and you'll see the nurses walking back and forth behind him, and he'll be shouting at them, get out, I'm on live." Right. So that was Steven. And whenever I had a show on, right, and I needed someone, all I do is just drop him a message. And Steven said, "I'll be there. Don't worry." Right. If I'm not doing a show, I'll be there for you. That was Steven. Right. And imagine we are fans from opposite clubs. So the relationship, I mean, we always talk about what will happen. And he already, I mean, I said, he was diagnosed with this disease from a very young age, and he's lived until so long. And he keeps telling the doctors don't even know what's happening, right? And so, and he putting himself out there to support the charity, right? The Charles Liver Disease Charity that is, showing his heart, right?
Yes.
And of course, his strength. When sometimes we can see even when he's on his drips, right? He's doing shows. When he's in pain, he's doing shows, right? So that's what I admire about him, right? His strength, right, and his heart, right, guys.
Thank you, Eugene. That was really well said, eloquently. And most importantly, I think one thing I remember is I met you through Steven.
Yeah.
Steven's like, "Melina, there's a Tottenham fan on my channel." I said, "What do you mean Tottenham fan?" And he said, "No, he's a genuine fan." And he even had PSV fans on his channel, like fans of different clubs we could never think of. He really welcomed them and made them feel like they're their own, like a great friend in real life. And no matter what time of night it was, I remember like Steven would be there for us to talk to, and vice versa. We were all there for him throughout. Even his last wish was to hear from Gabriel Martinelli, and I'm really glad all of us helped to push that through for him to hear that. I remember like last 2 years ago, we did awareness streams for Steven for the charity itself. Bargav and all of us helped. Many late nights we sat here trying to organize that. And Steven really enjoyed YouTube. It was something that made him feel like he had control of his life, and being able to do something that helped take away the mental stress of the pain and suffering that he was going through. YouTube like gave him that autonomy. And I know the pandemic was really shitty situation for all of us, but it brought us across the world together through our unity of football, regardless of the club we support. Hi, Delboy. Thanks for tuning in. And I think Steven, like as Manny, and I'm sure he will join later to say himself, regardless of the community in Arsenal, he influenced a lot of people. The Highbury squad, Sophie, I believe Steven had her on his channel, and she mentioned how selfless Steven was in terms of giving people an opportunity, giving people a chance on their platform. Sorry guys, I didn't see you backstage. Thanks for joining, Manny, and thanks for joining, Charlie. So I think like the one thing like I'll highlight is this season, if Steven was to see like how, like from us signing Declan Rice, me and Luca would mention it all the time. Like Steven wouldn't have believed the club to take this kind of direction. Like he was always like, I want Arsenal to do well. From the early days, he was strongly Arteta out, to later on giving the manager a chance and seeing Arsenal improve. I think like now to see us potentially challenging for a title or Champions League, or even being in those conversations, I don't think he would have been able to believe that us spending 105 million for a player like Declan Rice in his caliber. For us, it was like hard to believe that, and I'm sure Steven would have been over the moon to hear that. So I believe there's a life after when you pass away, and I feel that he's still watching over us and seeing us talk about him and share moments we had with him. Um, and some of us, we had the opportunity to meet him, and I think that's something I won't take for granted. Myself, Luca, we were able to meet him. Although he was really weak at that point, he made the effort to come see me when I traveled to London, and it was incredible to be able to see how selfless someone could be, always putting others ahead of himself, even though he was in a situation where he was hospitalized and frequently in and out of hospitals. We saw him on IVs. We saw him on going to transfusion appointments. But it gave us hope in our own lives. Manny, I want to come to you because you were someone that Stephen wanted to, and although this is a difficult situation, Stephen wanted to give his channel to you to take the torch on and to continue his channel in the way that he once had. And I think the relationship you and Stephen had was also very close. If you would like to share anything, Manny.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks a lot for bringing this together, and good to see everyone online. Eugen, Luca, Matt, Charlie, and of course, King Said. Wonderful to see you all. And yeah, it has been difficult in a way because obviously, due to circumstances, we have been able to resume that as of yet. But the thing about Stephen is that um, I'm actually doing quite a lot of work with some other channels as well. Obviously, I sort of continue Stephen's legacy in a way by going on Eugen's stream whenever I can, and I absolutely enjoy that because, we're in a similar time zone. He's about 2.5 hours ahead of me, so it's effectively like a kind of Asian continental get together, as it were. And
Yeah.
although obviously, like he is a Spurs fan, I'm an Arsenal fan. I actually met Eugen through one of Stephen's streams where we were doing a preview for the North London derby, and since then, the more we got to find out about each other, the more we started to enjoy each other. And Stephen wasn't my first YouTube experience; it was actually the old school gunner David Cole, and through him I got to meet Del Boy, and through Del Boy I got to know Stephen because Stephen would come on a little bit. Now, I'll be the first to admit that. I mean, there's nothing really to admit at all. I mean, like, whenever I would hear Stephen, I heard someone who was exceptionally, passionate, a bit angry, and cantankerous all the time. But the more I got to know of him, I found a person who was exceptionally, upbeat. I mean, I wouldn't say upbeat, but he was brave and cheerful despite his situation. And the more I got to know about him, the more I started to really empathize with him more than anything else. And every time we would do some work together, it would really be good. He did have this habit of, trying to, like, whenever I tried to make a point, and I would try to just burst into song a little bit to try to accentuate, to sort of emphasize it, as it were. He didn't like my singing voice, so he'd kick me off the stream, and I'd have to scream, "Put me back on, Feetly," and he'd put me back on. And he often, sometimes he would have a bit of a habit of, interrupting me and not letting me finish whatever I wanted to say. But if that was the worst, I've dealt with even worse from people who I would find were absolutely disrespectful in many ways. He was never disrespectful. He was just passionate about what he believed in. He was proud to be a royalist. I can never ever forget when we were doing a stream together and news of her now late Majesty's passing broke through, and he took the decision to end the stream abruptly. And afterwards, we did a tribute to Her Late Majesty. And I realized that there are several people in the world and in the YouTube community who do not share my views about the monarchy or Stephen's views. All I would ask is that they be a little bit respectful of Stephen's and my views. And he was always someone, as I said, who was very passionate about what he believed in. And you could tell that he was feeling the strain of his treatment, his illness, his treatment, the surgeries he had undergone, and how he would teach me a little bit more about his condition. And the more I got to know about it, the more I told myself, I have to do whatever I can to try to help him. And I have sent him quite a bit of money through PayPal, straight to his own PayPal, in the name of the foundation. And I'm actually going to make sure that whatever I do in life, I will make sure that I donate to that foundation any which way. And sadly, despite our best intentions, YouTube and Google can be a little bit of a, it can be a grim reaper sometimes. But it's time to remember the good things about Stephen, and how, as Melina said, he brought many people together, and through him, I got to meet more people. I probably would have gotten to meet a few people nonetheless, but I can safely say that people like Eugen and King Sate, I don't think I would have met them through. I don't think I would have, met them if it weren't for him. And I'm grateful in many ways for that. And I love what you said, Melina, and I will be brief. I will just be brief. I remember, I loved what you said about how there's a life afterwards. In many ways as well, we are the ones who can continue that life. We're the ones who keep the memory alive. And, the more often we talk about him, the more we remember things about him, the best things about him. There's a saying that as long as you keep a person deep in your heart, that person is never really gone. So I'll quit talking now so that Matt can say a few things, because I think he has to split. I'm sorry for taking up your time, mate.
Yes, Matt, thank you for joining as soon as we started, and I understand you have to go somewhere, but I really appreciate you coming on here to share your thoughts. And those of you in the comments, I'll read your comments surely one by one throughout the stream. Matt, take it away. I mean, you met Stephen long before me, so and Stephen came on your channel, I think, quite a few times to not only debate, to share his views on the Arsenal, but even backstage, the amount of phone calls I think we both shared with Stephen. It was very personable, and it was something different than a face behind a football fan.
Matt,
Sorry,
you
Matt,
mate.
you're on mute.
Sorry. So I met Stephen through his channel. I met Marley as well, who's down on the bottom of your screen there, through Stephen as well. So going on Stephen's channel was always meeting good people, and I think that's like one thing I really liked about it, the fact that he had like a diverse panel of people on there from different walks of life and different clubs, etc. And it's so good to be on his channel. It really was, and I do miss him every day. I think about him every day. Every time I see an Arsenal result, I think about him. Every time I see Arteta trying to like push that gel back in his hair, I think of Stephen and how much he hated him. Like even when he was doing good, like I just always think of Stephen in that good light. And like him coming on the shows as well, like you said, when he was in hospital, etc., just shows you like the ability and the gift that he had to just keep going. And I know like he had loads of stories about being told that he couldn't do things in life and he would still continue, whether someone would tell him he can't do it physically or mentally, he'd still do it. And I always admired that about him. And I was going to say something about the background chats I had with Stephen, trying to help him out with certain situations, like, maybe to do with women sometimes, or to do with like just his health and how he's feeling, etc. Just any problems at all. We always used to like send WhatsApps to each other. We would both get annoyed with each other at the same time, like kind of like a big brother, little brother relationship. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to speak to each other too much about everything because you get wound up a little bit, but in a lovely way at the same time. And every single day since he's gone, I've lived with that spirit in my life. I really have, and I know for some people it's just words to just say like you remember someone and like you live with them in your heart. But I think for me, like promise you, every single day I think about him. I think about what I can do better to make my life better and the things that he might have missed out on that I'm so lucky to be able to do in my own life. I think about him and that really makes me push on. So if anything, he really is still living right now, you know. It's just not in the physical, but yeah, he's always there for me, and I'm sure he is for everybody else too. And the things he's done on his channel as well, it's just remarkable to say that I knew such a person. With everything that he went through as well, he is a hero, he is a champion, he's a battler, and I only wish I could be as strong as he was.
Thank you, Matt. That was really well said. And I really appreciate you joining the stream, like I mentioned before. It would be great to try to get Steven's channel going again. I know King Sight has access to his StreamYard. A lot of people mention how passionate he was for Arsenal, just like Delboy mentions, and you touched upon as well. I think that's one thing we all think about now that we're seeing Arsenal get such positive results. It was always what would Steven think, because he used to rant like crazy. I remember he was talking to a wall one time when we lost several games 2 seasons ago.
Benfica, that was.
Yeah, and we got eliminated out of Europa League. Wasn't happy with that, and he never dropped the standards of what he wanted as a Arsenal fan. That's something to mention as well. But regardless of difference of opinion, because I was more positive and I guess deluded, he never took it personal or went on a personal way to debates with anyone.
Miss Mel, can I just say, with the Lewis Hamilton news recently about him joining Ferrari, I just wonder what he would have thought about that. I really
do.
Oh yeah, that will have flipped him, I think. And his love for Formula One, yeah. I was on one watch along with him, right? And that was the year when Verstappen and Hamilton was fighting, you know, oh God, it was so intense that season. And when Verstappen won his first title that time, oh, Steven lost it, right? Calling him all kinds of things.
Yeah, he said Verstappen was cheating, and
and Red Bull bought out the race director in the last race. Oh, those sort of
he had met Hamilton before, because I remember when I went to Steven's family's house, they showed us an album of all our comments in it. Every message we wrote for Steven, they had printed it out and kept it in album. But they also mentioned that had a picture of Steven when he met Van Persie, when he met Hamilton at a Formula One event, and you saw how active he was in sports. He loved any kind of sport and was really good in education too. Regardless of the illness, he was really smart in school. And his sister would mention how he was the more educated and like the nerd in school. So I really hope, if Steven's family is watching this, because we did give them the link to watch it on the replay or watch it live. We're really grateful of Steven's influence in our life. It was nothing but positive. I think we can all share the same sentiments, that he carried a positive impact on our lives. Thanks, Matt, for joining. You feel free to hop off anytime. I appreciate everyone in the comments, first and foremost, and everyone on the panel. It's different time zones, and I'm really glad you guys were able to make it on here. I understand some people may have other commitments, so don't feel pressured at all. I just want to answer this comment, because I don't think some people were asking myself and Luke at times when we were live about Steven. I think not a lot of people knew he passed away. Maybe people who may not have known him as well. So Ryan's asking, how old was Steven when he passed away? I believe he was 28 years old or 29 years old when he passed
28.
away.
No, 28. I think he would have been 29 in October, but it's 28.
Yeah, 28. Okay. So he was 28 years old when he passed away. He had 6 transplants. And some people aren't even able to get one. So Steven was really grateful. He had 6 liver transplants, and He still persevered throughout many hospital appointments. Every Thursdays, as we all know, he would go to blood infusions, and he would still come back in the afternoon and do an Arsenal watch along. Or if he had to stay overnight in the hospital, he would literally take the laptop with him. If you see his channel, there's many streams where, as Eugene mentioned, he's in the hospital and he's telling the nurses, like, I'm on live stream. Can you leave me alone for this amount of time? It was such a upbeat character and a really happy person. Orion says, I knew him. I joined his lives. Yeah, his streams were open for any fan to join, as long as you were respectful to everyone. He didn't gatekeep football. He was really allowing of people across the world to join his streams. You didn't even have to support Arsenal. He was always up for debate. I know Luca can mention, because both of them would argue for hours, and I'd always be in the middle of it between their streams. Luca, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, look, for me, like, look, I met Stephen quite a long time ago, and I think it was during the pandemic, during lockdown. I knew his channel. Like, I remember there was moments we were arguing about Mikel Arteta. Of course, everybody knows between me and Stephen our little debates about Arsenal and that. But for me, look, Stephen was a character, and of course, he was very, very cheerful. He was very passionate about Arsenal. Of course, we had our disagreements. Like, I remember, like, off stream, we used to, of course, ring each other, talk about Arsenal, talk about the game, talk about everything, and that's what Stephen really, really enjoyed. And he liked talking about Arsenal. He was very passionate, and I think, look, not only he obviously was very cheerful. He used to say to me, like, right, okay, I'm doing a stream, even if it's in the hospital, even if it's at home, even if it's in his anywhere, right? And look, for me, I think about him a lot, left, right, centre. And look, if Arsenal do go on to win the league this year, if they do or not, then for me, Stephen would always remember that. He would always remember that. And for me, look, he was a really, really good character, and we all miss him every single day. And even if sometimes I go back and watch the memories of him, and I just feel like we can go back in time. But yeah, Stephen was an absolutely amazing character, man.
Yeah, sometimes we watch his videos back just to see, like, old reactions to highlights of games, or to hear some debates that he's had with Luca. I think a couple of times he was on Del Boy's, Jez's channel, and they would often debate about our team squad at that time. Of course, we have much different players now. Stephen wouldn't have believed us signing Declan Rice. I don't even think he would have dreamed a signing that big to ever happen for this club. Thank you, Charlie, for the donation. He says Stephen was a great YouTuber and person. Thank you, Charlie. We have Oris and Mr. B joining us. Thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna let Charlie go next. Go ahead.
I'll just say big up. Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. B.
No worries.
Well, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, Eugene, Orist, and Mr. B. I don't think I've met any of you before, but I owe pretty much everything, like, YouTube-wise, to Stephen. That's he introduced me to Maddie, Mel as well, Luca. Not sure if I met many before or after his passing, but anyway, like, since, like, he got me into YouTube, like, everyone I met ever since, like, it's because of him. And one of my absolute, like, favorite human beings. Like, I'm still very sad that he's not here anymore, but I feel very blessed that I got to meet him, that I got to be, like, a really close friend of his, even though we didn't get to meet physically. But like, Stephen was just such a big character that it's funny. I'm pretty sure I'm not, like, the only one here that feels that way. Like, you can hear his opinions about things that happened after he passed. Like, I just know that Declan Rice is his favorite player. I know he loved Martinelli, but, like, you know that Declan Rice is Stephen's favorite player now. Like, that's just facts.
Yeah.
Like, you can hear him talk about him. You can hear him, like, just say, like, great things about Declan Rice. Like, I'm sure he would still be complaining about a lot because that's just the way Steven was. Like, Steven had so much energy that it was just like, it was very close to impossible to argue against him. That's why like Luke and Steven would go on for hours, because Luca also has a lot of energy and is also very opinionated. So those two would go on for a long time.
It was embarrassing when you were in the middle of streams that you're trying to do a show with for example Fabrizio, and these two will start arguing out of nowhere.
At some point, like, you just, if you don't have that same energy, you just lost the ability to talk, and you just had to sit there and be like, yeah, okay.
I think Bargav can attest for this. Like during the Euros, I think it was, they would talk about Neymar. The Neymar Mbappe debates always came up, and Steven really loved Mbappe, but he wasn't really a big fan of Neymar. I think he liked Mbappe's ability so much more than what Neymar skill set he had. And Bargav and Steven would go on for hours and hours about the same thing. Mbappe is a better player overall, and it would like, if you don't know how to argue, you'll lose automatically by default, and Steven's not one to give up.
Because I remember there was one time, I think Steven kept going on about Andre Silva all the time, and then he used to keep going on about Isaac, and I remember at the time I said Isaac was not good enough, and look at it now, Isaac's doing it for Newcastle. And I remember Steven kept ringing me on the phone like every odd day, and he used to say, how do you know you've not seen this guy play? Luca, you're waffling and all that. And I miss those times and all that, you know what I mean? Like, I remember when he kept going about Ronaldo Sanchez a couple of years ago. And Steven obviously used to love and all that stuff, especially with his opinions. And I remember his final appearance. I think, Manny, you were on the watch along, and Bargav. It was Aston Villa. It was a week before he passed away, and we won 4-2. And I remember Steven was arguing at something with Bargav, or I can't exactly remember what it was, but Manny, you might know what it was back then. It's when we beat Villa 4-2, when Jorginho scored. And I remember Steven didn't celebrate or something when like he wasn't like crazy when we went 3-2 up. I think he was still ranting about something.
Might have been. I'll tell you something though. I mean, for a guy who was a huge fan of Mbappe, he wouldn't have enjoyed seeing our former goalkeeper Emi Martinez winning and then taunting him afterwards. And normally, I would have thought that the sight of Emi scoring that Peter Schmeichel-esque own goal would have made him quite happy, but it didn't. And you know, that's just Steven to a T. But here's the thing, though. However angry he would get, none of us ever held it against him. Not because we didn't want to walk on eggshells around him, but because I think we just knew that that was sort of the way he was, and it was pretty much a part of his personality. And we knew that as a person, he was much more than his rants at times. But you know, that was just the way it is. And there's always a part of me that just hopes that Arsenal can get it together and finally do something. But, you know, Luke, I just saw your private chat. And obviously, Orist, I know you're in. I do apologize. I wanted United to really do something. And when Rashford scored, I mean, I had my heart in my mouth too. But, you know, there's always going to be a part of me that will think that no matter how much I may not be impressed with Arteta's style of management, it's Steven who really, you know, wants who makes me realize that, you know, Arsenal is bigger than anyone, bigger than any of us, bigger than the manager, bigger than any of the players. And so if anyone ever dares to attack me on Twitter saying, if you don't like the way Arteta's doing things, you don't deserve to support Arsenal Football Club, I say, you know what? I support Arsenal FC. I want Arsenal to be successful. I don't care who the manager is. And I don't deem it necessary to drop Steven's name to justify, you know, how much I support the club. And, you know, that's just a reminder of how much we treasure him, that we don't need to mention him. But I think it's fair to say that obviously, Eugene, this won't apply to you. I do apologize for that. Neither to you, Orist, and maybe and others. But whenever Arsenal will succeed, we always think Stephen would have loved this. And we just want to see the team succeed so that in our hearts we know that Stephen will be happy. That's the most important thing. And Luca, I know that he used to rip you a new one every now and then, but the fact that you love him greatly, I'm sure that however much you love him, he loves you that little bit more.
He loves me now and all that stuff. And even if he's watching up there, he's looking at me down, still saying that Luke is still the same old Luke of being negative. But of course, he still loves everyone. And I remember the time we did a watch along, and it was the season 2021. Arsenal beat Norwich 1-0, and I sang. There's a little clip. I think it's only short clips, and I sang the Cristiano Ronaldo song, Viva Ronaldo. And Stephen said, "Oh, what, you're a Man United fan?" Because I remember Stephen kept saying to me that you support Man United. You support Man United. We know you're secret United fan. And I said to him,
I remember that.
You must be joking.
Yeah,
I think he made a bet with Charlie, and he had to shave his hair off, but I don't know what the bet was. Was it? It was something with the donations for the charity. I think it was if Stephen raised £1,000 or something, that you agreed to shave your hair off on stream.
It wasn't a bet. It wasn't a bet. It was a promise. Like I made a promise that when the page got to, I think it was 2,000 pounds, I would shave my hair live, and that's.
And you did it, yeah. So Stephen never forgot.
Really hard time growing it back.
Yeah. Stephen never forgot about that. Before we go to Orist and Mr. B, King Saeed, someone who really helped Stephen throughout his channel, regardless of the time of day for streams. I think he, if you want to share anything, because you were someone who was there when Stephen was going through. We didn't really know. We didn't see the light at that point. I think he was in a coma near the later days of his life. And he was in hospice care, and the last thing we were told by his family was Stephen was transferred to hospice care from the hospital, and that's when we kind of got the hint that this would be the end of life. A really, really dark time, and I still remember like the amount of effort all of us made to help get Martinelli's attention. And if you guys don't know, Martinelli dedicated his goal when Leicester were in the Premier League. We beat Leicester, and Martinelli scored a goal away in that game. He dedicated the goal to Stephen, which was incredible to see. But more so before Stephen had passed away, when Stephen was in a coma, Martinelli recorded a video clip after training in memory of Stephen. And although Stephen was in a coma, his hearing senses were still fine, and his family played that in his ear while he was unwell. It's really nice when you can help someone when they're in that stage of life where you're honoring someone's last wish and legacy throughout now, where we're all speaking about Stephen. And there's people on here and people who joined that are not Arsenal fans that Stephen influenced, and that shows and speaks volumes on how much of a good person he is character-wise. King Saeed, if you want to go ahead and share your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen to me was all his family. I consider him as my little brother, and that's how I used to call him after. I used to call him his bro. And the thing with Stephen is that he's such a wonderful individual. You know, he got a lot of time and love for everyone, and I think that's what shows with his channel, because we have people from all over the world, from all the corners, whether it's Asia, South America, North America, Europe, Africa, Jamaica. It doesn't matter, you know. You come to Stephen's channel and you feel like this is a safe place for you. And never in my life did I think that I would be able to create such strong bonds with people that I've never met. And that's something that Stephen really learned me and inspired me to do. And he's one of the the main reasons why I even started my own channel, because he was someone who he wanted everyone to grow. He wanted everyone to win in life, and it amazed me that someone who basically knew that his time was very limited, but he had so much to give to people, and he was never selfish. You know, you would never hear Stephen complain and be like, you know what, life sucks. I don't care. I'm not gonna do this. F off. He was always like, I want to help people. I want to raise money. I don't want to let anyone down. Even if I'm sick, even if I'm ill, even if I'm in the hospital, I'm still gonna do the streaming. And when you see that with such a high level of quality and passion, I mean, it inspires you, and it inspired me. And Stephen is someone who I will always remember. I will always remember how much of an inspiration he is and will always be. And I cherish every moment that I spend with him. You know, me and Stephen, we used to have a special banter. We used to always, you know, get at each other, but in a good way. And I miss it. You know, he's a special person, Stephen, and he's someone that I love and respect a lot. And he's the reason why I got to know all of you, and you know, and all of you got to know me. And it just shows how much one person can do. And this is why, for me, really, I really hope that his channel that will get it going soon, because if there's one thing that I know Stephen would love, is for the channel to continue. I know it meant everything to him, and for him, hopefully we will be able to continue the channel. And also, when you look at Stephen, when you look at his relationship to Arteta, it's epic, because first he didn't want him, then he was supporting him. I remember when we won the FA Cup, and he was so happy. And then after, he didn't raise him at all, he wanted him out of the club. But then last season, when we started doing well again, he was really on board with the manager again, and he was at peace with the club. You know, he was really enjoying watching Arsenal again. And I think I was so happy that he, at least leaving this place, he left it at peace and with happiness with the club. And that's why I don't take anything for granted, you know. And, you know, Stephen, wherever you are, bro, we miss you, you know, we love you, and keep fighting, because you are surely the greatest fighter I've ever met in my life. And I'm sure all of you can attest to that Stephen is a fighter, you know. And he also showed that it's okay to be human. It is okay. You can have your weaknesses. You can have your day off. You can be angry. But in the end, there's a person in there that's much bigger than that. And that was Stephen, you know. He never tried to be politically correct. He never tried to be someone who he wasn't. He was always original. And that's why we loved him so much. He was never fake. He was always real from Stephen. And that is something that I will always take with me, that be yourself, you know, regardless of what society believes. Be yourself.
King, very well said, eloquently. I think the best part of what you said was you don't take anything for granted. After seeing Stephen's situation, from someone who's had 6 transplants and still tried to carry on, you saw him stream from the hospital, like we mentioned earlier. Some of us even were on those streams where he was streaming from the hospital, whether it was a watch along, whether it was a preview for a North London derby, a review after a defeat. He would not miss a stream Like there were times where he was doing 3 streams a day, and we told Steven, like, Steven, you don't have to go live, you know, take a break, take rest. And he said, no, like, this is what's keeping me happy. This is what I want to do. And he put a lot of effort into his channel to help spread awareness. There were times where he did liver awareness charity streams. I think for about 12 hours straight, he streamed. And for us, like someone like me, there's no way I'd be streaming for 12 hours. But for Steven, he found a lot of happiness in bringing people together from different channels to raise awareness for children with liver disease. And there were people we got on from the Children's Liver Disease Foundation who worked with Steven from when he was a child, who spoke about how he was so happy even when he was in the hospital. He was still someone with a smile on his face. And it's very rare to find good-hearted people like that, especially nowadays. The world is so full of hate. I think I'll go to Oris next. Oris, you're a Man United fan, but I know Steven and you streamed together before, I believe. You've been a guest on his channel, same as Mr. B. These not Arsenal fans, but Steven gave equal platform and equal voice to rivals and to people who it wasn't restricted just to Arsenal fans.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, it was great, obviously, doing streams with him. I remember we was bantering each other. I was like to him, "Oh, back Arteta, back him," and then obviously I think we had Ollie during the period. He was like to me, "Back Ollie." I was like, "No chance." So, but no, look, he was a fantastic guy. He always gave me a chance to do streams. Same for my channel. He said, "Let me know whenever he's free and stuff." I was like, "Yeah, but I want you to, you know, take your time, you know, no rush." But he was like, no, this is what makes me keep going on and on. So, for me, he was a warrior, man. Steven, it was a pleasure for me to do streams. Obviously, I haven't met him face to face, and I'm pretty sure he was really the same thing, warrior face to face. But on streams, he was a good guy, man. Never, for me, he never was that person to hate on someone. He was like, even if he saw Tottenham fan in the comments, he would let him on streams and just talk football. So no, definitely, because this is how I met Manny. I think I met Manny from Steven's channel.
Yep.
So yeah, fantastic guy, and I'm sure he's very strong up there. But look, I would have met Manny. Like, for me, this is the thing with Steven. Like, you meet people from him, and we're close friends, and that's how big Steven is. So, no, look, I'm sure his channel. I'm sure he's thinking that he wants the channel to keep going on and on. That's the way he is. So, yeah, he was very, very big to me.
Thank you, Oris. That was really well said, and thank you for joining as well. I know Man United just played and lost to City, but for you to be on here and give up your time during the game, I really appreciate that. And no dig at Man United. We all have our friends.
We're finished there, yeah.
Mel's still smiling about it. Look, she's smiling when she's saying.
Mr. B, I'll go to you next. Then Bargav and Static. Mr. B, I believe you've been on a couple of previews with Steven. Before you had a channel, Steven invited you on his channel a couple of times to talk football before we face each other in league games. I remember this conversation always came up. Ivan Toney. Oh, why do we have Eddie Nketiah? We should get Ivan Toney. Steven and Luca, back to back, both of them, they really, really loved how complete of a player Ivan Toney was. And that was the topic of debate oftentimes whenever Brentford came up into conversations. And you being a Brentford fan, I'm sure Steven would have tried to bargain and negotiate what players he could give up for Ivan Toney, someone of his caliber at least.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd probably still be talking about it now if he was around here now. He would be going on. Why can't we get Toney? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know Steven as long as some of you guys did. But what I knew of him, he was a lovely guy. got plenty of courage, determination, always smiling despite what he was fighting against, which is not easy. It takes a very brave person to fight all that. And the guy he was incredibly brave, so much courage. Done great things, obviously for the Liver Disease Foundation and everything. And I'm going to donate, especially when I come off of here, I'm going to donate to that. So I hope plenty of people have already donated, given as much as they can, because this is a terrible thing. My dad's got prostate cancer, so I know a lot about this sort of thing. So, you know, please donate, people, and fight this horrible thing. But yeah, lovely bloke. Just such a shame, really. And why it's taken so long to do this, I don't know, but it's a shame. But now we're all here and it's happening. You know, it's a great time to celebrate this guy's fantastic life, you know. The 28
Yeah,
years
he
old.
achieved a lot in his life throughout, you know, having multiple surgeries, being told he's not going to live past Christmas several years, and for him proving doctors wrong by you know, fighting and still persevering throughout life to accomplish whatever he wanted to. He never took no for an answer when they said no, you can't do this. He still tried to, you know, socialize, to meet up with friends. He met up with me and Luca. I think it was a weekend before his birthday, and he traveled all the way to London from closer to Norwich, and that's a long journey. And for him to do that on his own, it shows how much courage he had in his life, regardless of what he was going through. And even on streams, he never spoke about or made it seem like it was affecting him. Whether it was falling asleep on streams casually, no one really took it seriously or took it to heart that he fell asleep on stream. Like, we kind of knew after 3 streams you're going to be burnt out anyway, and he would still go on the next day, 3 streams a day. I think I'm going to go to Bargav next. Bargav actually was the person who showed me Steven's channel. One day Bargav messaged me and said, there's a guy from London who does Arsenal shows. I think we should help him out. And I don't know how Bargav found Steven's channel, but Bargav was the reason that me and a lot of us connected through Steven's channel as a mutual platform where we all met during the pandemic. I think that's the only good thing that came out of this whole pandemic, was all of us friends meeting on social media. Social media can be a really good thing and a bad thing, but in this case of Steven, it brought a lot of us together through football. Bargav, you helped Steven through a lot, like not just streams, but in his personal life, demeanor, like his attitude. You know, I know you guys would debate a lot about football, and not once did it get personal, but you introduced a lot of connections, and you introduced me to Steven. And it was through then that we helped organize the charity fundraisers for the CLDF, raising over £2,000 for the CLDF charity. It felt incredible to be a part of that. And thank you for showing us Steven's channel, and myself in particular. Bargav, if you have anything to say, you know, favorite moments you shared with Steven, and anything takeaways wise, what you want Steven's family to know. I mean, all of our thoughts, I think we all echo all of our thoughts and support for Steven and his family. They're still grieving the loss of their son, their brother, and he passed away at a relatively young age. It was no age to pass away, but Steven fought a good fight for a really long time, and his legacy lives on through each and every one of us. Thanks.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to say about this topic is we're all really good people, and you're going to meet a lot of great people in life. You're going to meet a lot of people that you regret meeting, and you're going to have a lot of great people that are just that special. And Steven will forever be that special to me. And one of the reasons for that is, like, some people will change your worldview. Like, every day we live a life, we're going to meet a lot of people the question is like, yes, we can get into the whole like, are they going to help us out, not help us out, whatever, and that's the game everybody plays. But however, like the impact on life is like, but when some people have an impact on life, that's special. That's what Steven did for every single one of us. And Mel, you're one of those people too. You just don't know it yet. The big thing is like, I'll tell you something. You're talking about the pandemic, right? He gave everybody. Here's qualities about Steven that I've always admired. Always gave everybody a chance. I wouldn't be on these spaces otherwise. Number 2, never made any judgments about people. And I've seen him like confront other people about like making judgments about other people. You know what I'm talking about too, but like, I mean, I don't want to like get into that, but the biggest thing with Steven is like, yo, like we have our daily exceptional life. We work hard. We have things to do, right? However, do we appreciate every day? And that's where like that's one question I think like no one will like, no one can ever answer in that sense. But like, I hope one day everybody meets a Steven Featley in their life in their own version. He didn't get to impact the world, but I hope like somebody in their own life gets to like meet a Steven Featley that changes their life perspective and be like, I'm happy to be alive. Because one reason like Steven impacted me is like, you know how much effort he did every single week to put himself together just to put up for those shows.
Yeah.
People underappreciate like how difficult that is. And for the rest of our life, I will take that with me for the rest of my life. And everybody that saw that was impactful. And that's my message. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Thanks, Bhargav. Bhargav was one of the key organizers of Steven's channel, whether it was getting guests on, contacting people for Steven to do a stream with. Steven had the opportunity of, Jazz, Lee Gunner, being able to go on those channels and share his views, whether it was the same views or opposing views. They gave him a chance, and a lot of channels, they didn't want to give other people an opportunity or a chance. And I think that's one thing that Steven, like as I said earlier, gave us all a chance, regardless of our views. He never went into a personal hate or attacks just because you have a difference of opinion. And I think that's something I really respect about him. And more so what we all take away from what we learned from Steven was, don't take anything for granted in your life. Like tomorrow's never promised, and sadly you become closer together as friends. I felt like through the passing of Steven, a lot of us on this panel became more closely connected as friends, and we remorsed together when we heard the news that Steven passed away. We never really expected that would be the case. I mean, obviously some may have assumed that it would happen, but no one ever thinks that's going to happen soon, right? And to Steven's family, if they're watching this, I hope this brings a lot of joy to you, that your son influenced a lot of us in a positive way, and gave us hope in a life that's so cruel and can be hard on you when you're going through, health issues, turmoils, or even losing close friends. For us to continue on and still keep Steven in our minds, that speaks volumes on how much of a good person Steven was to everyone. Static, I want to mention Static. You made a very emotional tribute post this week when it's 1 year since Steven passed away on the 27th of February. And Static was someone who Steven spoke to every day, whether it was on the phone, whether it was on text, about Arsenal, and even personal conversations. Static, I think Steven treated you like a very close brother. And when I read your tribute post on your story, it was really emotional, and you could tell that that's a lot what you felt from the heart. And I'm sure Steven would be really glad to see us do this stream in memory of him, but also to know that we still keep him and his remembrance, his legacy in our hearts moving forward in life.
First of all, hello, Melina. Hello, panel. Yeah, it's just you're right. We, Stephen, we spoke so much all the time. Just so it was. We spoke so much. We both gave each other too many headaches, to be honest. But yeah, we had so many conversations about life in general and football as well. But yes, yeah, it was really good. I miss those conversations all the time, to be honest. I still do. Yeah, just and he always. What I loved is that he always reached out to me because he wanted to get. We did a lot of brainstorming, so he wanted to get ideas on what he could do to improve his content and to make more content. So, but yeah, we did. I can't remember. I can't count how many shows we did together, but I would say at least 50 shows, 50 plus shows we did together where I went live on his live streams. But yeah, just I actually found out about his channel by accident. It was actually because of Lee Gunner, and listen, big love and respect to him because he always promotes every YouTube out there. So yeah, I found out by his channel by accident during COVID-19, and it was the best accident I ever made. So, because I made a new friend, I discovered what he was like as a YouTuber and as a person. And yeah, he truly is one of a kind. And I meant what I said in the comments section earlier. I said that he's the most selfless person I've ever met and ever spoken to. He's always got time for you, Melina, for everyone in the panel. And he always makes time. Sometimes I don't, but I always say, Stephen, I'll do my best to reach out and make time for you. And I've always done it. And it's just, yeah, but I always appreciate him for he always randomly called me at like 3 a.m. It's like, dude, I'm sleeping. What do you want? So I was like, I just saw this dream about something. I was like, oh, okay. It's about Arsenal. I was like, yeah, okay. So it's always this totally random conversation to have 3 a.m, even just at 10 o'clock at night. So, but yeah, we'd talk for hours just about, like I said already, life in general and football. And we'll talk about both of our families. So, but yeah, it's just I still feel numb, to be honest, that he's not here. So feels like it was yesterday, to be honest, that he was with us. But I know it's a year, but it still feels like it was just literally 24 hours ago. I don't know how everyone else feels, but that's how I feel. But I meant what I said, that he really truly was one of a kind. He was the most selfless person I ever met and spoken to, and he really does have a heart of gold. And just he's got so much fire in him, and passion, both inside and outside. Like it's just so I'm just a little bit emotional at the moment. So it's
Hey Mel, can I say one thing? Because
Sure.
his heart of gold is like pointed out, right? But don't. I mean, he was a fucking fighter, man. I mean, I hate to say, sorry to curse, but like, I mean, he was a fighter. Like, don't get it wrong.
Can I just say he was a big time swear as well?
Yeah, he was a big time swear
Yeah,
too. It's crazy.
his sister said that too. Every
Like,
like
Stephen, calm down.
it was
He had the right mix of the world. He had the right mix of the world. Like, I mean, it is unusual to meet someone like Stephen.
Yeah.
And when you did, like, when you finally get to know him, you're like, it's incredible. And that's why I say, like, everybody should meet one person like that in their life.
Yeah, I agree.
Tony, thank you for coming on the show. And before you share your views, I want to say whenever I was on Tony Claude's channel, it would be like 10 o'clock my time and maybe like 2 in the morning UK time. Stephen would send me a message saying, Tony Claude's live. Can you ask him to send me the link? Tony Claude's live. Can you get me on? And it would be so late in the UK, but he would still want to come and talk football. And because his mom and sister were sleeping for work, he couldn't be too loud when he was on stream. But Tony always said, yeah, sure. And he gave him a chance to come on the show. Tony, I think you and Stephen, like, it's the same sentiments we share here. All of us mutually is your channel also highlighted like you giving Stephen a chance on his platform first things first, and secondly is I think a lot of us gave Stephen happiness through the Arsenal, like us being friends and sharing our views regardless of football, whatever topic it was. We heard him and he made us feel heard, whether the hour conversations or 2 hour conversations. It didn't feel like you were being bored or you were being used. It felt like you were genuinely listened to and cared for, like a genuine friend, and that's how I felt. Stephen was like a brother to me more than a friend.
Yeah, Melina, see, this just kind of like evokes a certain emotion, when it comes to Stephen, his soul, rest in peace. I just came into this YouTube, platform less than a year, 5 months ago, and Miss Melina at the time, was on my channel most of the time because, she was there to actually help me out. It's not really like, she just came there to help me out on my channel. And Bagif also, who was one of the first viewers, on my channel, respect to you, Bagif, two of you kind of like introduced me to Stephen. I never watched him before. I never knew him before, and Miss Melina got him on my channel, and I saw this guy, amazing person, and previously, when Miss Melina told me about him, I went checked out his videos, and I, at the time I saw it was Ateta out, and at that time I was Ateta in at the time, so I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have someone who might not really like listen to my views, because probably I was really supporting the management then, and then when he came, immediately I understood that he was a person that had a listening ear to other people. So, he was just an amazing person. It gives you that listening ear. He understands your view. He sees clearly where you're coming from. And this was the kind of person that he was. Amazing at heart. I call him Heart of Gold. It's for a reason. Someone pointed out about his swearing. Yeah, and that shows how passionate he was about his team. So as he was also very, very passionate about his relationships with people. Many times he would call me in the evening and tell me, "Hey Tony, let's have a stream. When are you gonna have a stream? I want to join in your stream." Because he really did see me as a very passionate person. Even if our views didn't align at the time, he just wanted to, get to talk football with me, get to, see what I have in there and talk about football. After streams, when everyone have had their limelight and everything and gone away, Stephen will be the last person with me. He will converse with me. He will talk with me. He will tell me, how is everything going? He genuinely cared, to be very sincere. He's this kind of person that genuinely cares about you. And he asked me, well, what's going on with you, about your life and everything. And, and he provides that aura, that environment for you to just kind of like be in that space with him. So even if you're a kind of person that doesn't like to share most of your intricate things in terms of personal life, Stephen puts you in that position to actually just have that one-on-one, heart-to-heart talk with him, and that was the kind of person he was. I don't know how many people have that kind of effect on me, but he did have that effect on me. A very amazing person. He loved Arsenal to the core. He loved Arsenal to the core. He was always talking about Arsenal. He wanted Arsenal to win. He loved the standards. He told me one day, he said, "See, Anthony, I know you have a different opinion than me right now, but later you would come to make sense of it all." And sincerely, right now, a year after, actually before a year, actually, I came to the realization of what he always meant, about the standards, about Arsenal. That's a different topic altogether. But right now, and I really understand, I really kind of like understand the picture he was trying to paint so passionately. Heart of gold, cared for kids, cared for, for people that also had any form of disability, Every every time I spoke with this guy, every chat, every text, it was about concern. It was about to do good. It was about, less evil, positive vibes. Like this is a progressive. And it hurts me that people like this, have to leave this world. When when we have all these snakes and vipers everywhere, and then there is this amazing person, like I ask myself, why did he have to be this guy? Why, out of everyone, why this guy? So I know he's resting in a good place, because he was always an amazing person and a good person at heart. I can't overstate how much of an amazing person he was. And again, that also translates also to the people he walked with. If you watch the people he walked with, Miss Melina, Bagav, I've never seen him with Static, even if I know that they do lots of shows together. I never watched the show with him and Static. But I knew it was a very big collaborator with Manita and Gadurai. They churned out lots of great work together, and of course I'm a very big fan of Manita and Gadurai. I kind of like the way he talks and his approach to and football analysis. So him and Stephen always from this type of this merger that was made in heaven. So, I love them talking football together. I miss Stephen. I miss talking football with him, smiling with him when we did win, because I'll go to taunt him a little bit and tell him, "Hey, Stephen, we won. What do you have to say now?" And he say, "Tony," and he speaks in a very calm voice, like, "Tony, calm down. We've not won a trophy."
Yeah, that's Stephen, right?
Oh my God. And then Stephen, rest in peace. I love you. I love you as a person. I love you as a human being. And you're a true person. You're true. Within the short period I spent knowing you, true person. And I hope you're up there looking down at your friends right now as we remember you. As far as I'm concerned, every other person here have something to do, but we took our time. Miss Melina took her time, and Miss Melina, kudos to you. I saw how distraught you were during that period. This is the people don't give lots of credence. They just say, "Hey, okay, she did a stream. Okay, Stephen was a friend. Yeah, good." But they don't know how much of a close person you were to that guy. Encouragement, everything. He did tell me lots of things behind the scenes, about what you really meant to him, and and how much he respects you. So big up to you, Miss Melina, for putting this together. Thanks for giving him such an amazing memory. God bless you too. And God bless every other person who have come down here, taking time out of your busy schedules to come down here and show love. Mr. B also, I've seen a show with him and Mr. B. You know, and Mr. B, you had quite a run-in with him, you know, once or twice or so. You know, and
he's a great bloke.
he's a great guy. Great guy. Yeah. You know,
it's like that Queen song goes, only the good die young. That's what the song goes, and that is true about Stephen. So,
yeah, we really miss him. Like, it's still hard to believe that he is no longer here with us. As Static said, I agree with Static. It still feels like it was just yesterday when he passed away, when we got the news that he passed away. But if it wasn't for Bhargav, I don't think I would have been there to put a lot of time, effort, and to help Stephen achieve his goal. I don't know, a lot of you may know that Stephen was on a channel before he had his own channel, and they didn't really give him a proper opportunity, a fair chance. And Stephen decided, I want to do my own thing. I want to make a mark in this world. And he took that statement really literally. The way his footprints still carry on throughout our lives, that's a huge statement of the type of person he was, how selfless he was. And so Bhargav, thank you for showing me Stephen's channel. I remember at the time I told you, Bhargav, I'm not interested in seeing another Arsenal fan channel. There's so many out there. It's all the same. And for Bhargav to say, no, this one's different. I definitely feel that now. And it's sad to say it's been a year since Stephen passed away. Charlie, I know you have to go, and I am going to be wrapping up the stream, guys. It's been a very good stream. I want to thank everyone in the comments who donated to the CLDF, who super chatted. I will match the super chat and donate myself those proceeds to the CLDF. Thank you, Mr. B. Those of you who are not able to donate, for you even giving up your time to come on here to share your thoughts, to put a comment in support of Stephen's family. Stephen's family do have the stream link, whether they're watching live or going to be watching on the replay. Our sincere condolences and for you and your family. And Stephen is like a brother to us, and I think someone we will cherish for the rest of our lives positively.
Melina, can I quickly just say something? You asked me how long I've known him for. I'd say I've known Stephen, like literally since the COVID-19, since the lockdown, the global pandemic. So 3 years. So, but we were definitely very close friends. So, and he always spoke highly of you, Bhargav, and everyone, especially you two, because you guys really helped him out with his 6-8 hour charity live stream 18 months ago, more than that. It feels like a long time ago now, but you guys did a phenomenal job. So, and he was, I remember he called me after the show had ended. He just said, he just kept praising you two. He said, you guys just did such a wonderful job. It's just, he said, he couldn't done it without you guys. So, like I said, he spoke very highly of you two, because like I said, he couldn't have done it without you guys. So, just want to share that.
Yeah. And I want to thank everyone on the panel who's on here now, and also those that joined earlier in the stream, throughout the stream, everyone who joined in the chat or who was watching on other social media platforms. The stream will be available on replay. Again, all of us echo the same thoughts. Our sincere condolences goes to Stephen Featley and his family. We will carry the torch and his memory of his life throughout our own lives, and take on what he showed us in terms of being positive in this world throughout all the troubles that can happen. Thanks, Gary. And with that being said, this concludes the 1 year memory celebration of life for Stephen Featley, a friend, a great brother, and someone who really influenced our lives. Thank you, everyone who took part, shared your thoughts, and support. With that being said, I am going to wrap up the stream, and I appreciate all of your time and effort. Stephen, hopefully we can continue your channel. in honor of you and all your achievements. Thank you, Rosie, as well. And Tony, that was really well said, what you shared. I know Stephen will be really happy and proud hearing this from above with all of what we had to share today. And yes, so this has been a really emotional stream. Thank you, everyone. And I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone.